The Pinball Network is online. Launching.
Triple Drain Pinball Podcast.
All right, here we go. So, today's going to be a weird one. This is the Triple Drain Pinball Podcast, episode number 29.5. It's not officially episode 30. And you know what? We're not going to do theme song. And the reason we're not going to do theme song is there's only two of us. So I just feel like the Triple Drain theme song makes sense when there's three people. But there isn't three. There's only two. It's myself. My name is Joel. And my co-host in this case, Travis Murie. Travis, are you good? You ready? You ready to go?
Joel, your ability to do math is very inspirational. So yeah, I'm definitely ready to go.
There's usually three, but now there's two. Yeah. So no, we're just gonna really just dive on in here. Tom, unfortunately, so we were recording this in the middle of the day. The three of us, the two of them were at INDISC. They just came home. Travis is traveling again this weekend for the Oklahoma finals. So he's going to that to cheer on his friends. Tom has a date night with his lovely wife. It's just trying to coordinate all these things. We're like, well, we got to talk about INDISC. When's this going to happen? The reality is it happens in the middle of the day, apparently, is the only way we can get in an hour of talking. And Tom's a dentist and he's drilling teeth. So, you know,
I think it's obvious Tom's trying to leave us for Loser Kid. I kid about it. I think he's for real about it. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. You saw he was wearing their hat, right?
I know.
I wore our merch at INDISC.
I know. Well,
and he wore their hat. He didn't. I asked him. I was like, Tom, where's your sweatshirt?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't bring it. Like I was like, all right, great, Tom.
Yeah. Well, I see you in the video there. You are wearing a Triple Drain hat. That is, yeah. So we just got those in. Those are Silver Ball swag if you want to check that out. And speaking of merch, I do have to give a huge shout out to Ben Smith. Ben Smith is a listener of ours. We've been making a lot of jokes about the El Gato no signal. Travis, it's just a way of life at this point. I feel like you've fully embraced it. And Ben actually took our logo and kind of redesigned it and made a logo that says El Gato no signal. He sent it to us. I then tweaked it to make it more black and gray, which is what we see on screen. And now we have a shirt. So if you want to support Travis in the poor decisions he makes, check that out. It
wasn't only that. If you're watching Classics 2 finals, and this is in front of over 10,000 people, apparently it showed up on there while I was playing as well.
Yeah, there's a screenshot of that. So shout out to Karl, DeAngelo. We're going to be giving him a lot of love this episode. But Karl's embraced it. I think when you were announcing for part of INDISC, he had your they listed the announcers' names, and then they would give you like where you're from, and he just wrote no signal underneath that. So really cool that that is a meme of yours at this point, and I think you're stuck with it. So yeah, definitely check out Silver Ball swag, and I appreciate it, Ben. Appreciate you doing that. We are definitely getting a kick out of that. Second thing. If you're watching this on YouTube, here you go. This is video number 2. And the question is why? Our initial goal was to put video kind of behind a paywall. Or it was like, hey, we have a Patreon. Let's reward the Patreon members by giving them video access. That was a plan. I thought it was a good plan. We get roughly 2,000 plus, 2,500 plus listens on the podcast. What surprised us was our video got like over 1,000 views. So what
surprised you guys? I kept
you
saying
were ready.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Can we give me props?
Yeah.
I'm just
saw
going to
that
ask
coming.
for nice Joel.
But that was a huge surprise to me. I was just, and what's crazy to me is it didn't actually hurt our podcast numbers. So our podcast listens were still a normal amount, but then there's roughly 1,000 plus additional views. So our thought is like, why are we taking that away? Why would we if there's people out there that want to watch us that aren't used to watching or listening to podcasts and would rather watch a YouTube video, let's go for it. So we decided let's go ahead and continue to do video for free for everybody. It's free access for everybody. Now I was like, well, I would feel bad for the people that signed up for Patreon just for the video. That was my hesitation. Well, lucky us, not a single person did. So it's not like I have to apologize to the one person that just started a contribution because of video. So that's totally fine. We really do appreciate, though, the Patreon supporters we do have. Thank you for our support.
I mean, if we just keep patting ourselves on the back over and over again.
There we go.
Right. We could do that this afternoon if you want to.
I don't know. But so anyways, that's the house, the housekeeping out of the way. Silverball swag, check it out. And then, we're going to stick with video. So if you're enjoying the video, please, what is it? All the YouTube stuff, like and subscribe, leave us a comment, all that fun stuff.
What is it? Smash the like button.
Smash that like button.
Hit the bell. Stay in the algorithm.
Kerry Hardy, ding my dong. That's what he says.
Is that what he says?
Yeah.
Well, so, I don't know if I want to go that far. I don't want to give people the wrong impression.
Yeah, this is a very professional, and this is very professional.
Like wow stick is the line. We're not going to cross the wow stick line. That's
all
okay.
Right. So, INDISC. The reason we want to record this episode was INDISC just happened. What is INDISC? INDISC is essentially the Super Bowl of tournament play, is what it seems like. Now, I'm speaking a little out of my comfort zone. I'm a very inexperienced tournament player. So Travis, you're going to have to answer a lot of these questions. So INDISC is considered a major, right? So it's how many majors are there yearly? Do you know?
I want to say, I think there's only 3 currently. Okay. Like so I'll be honest, I'm not even clear on that since Pinball went away. I want to say EPC, which is over in Europe, the Open that we just played in, and then I guess it would be IFPA. I don't know.
And where's that?
Can correct me. That's over in Germany this year. It rotates. It goes over to like European countries or overseas, or at least at another country that's not the U.S. And then it's back in the U.S. every other year.
So regardless, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. I think I saw on the stream that out of the 100 top world ranked players, there were like 60 of you guys there playing in this. So this is kind of a big deal. And another thing that's amazing is Karl DeAngelo with IEpinball. He streams the majority of the whole thing. And Karl, as most people that listen to this podcast know, he is like one of, if not the top streamer out there when it comes to tournament streams. His quality is unbelievable. I mean, his production value, it's such a treat to be able to watch not only this high of quality of pinball players, but also to be able to watch it in such a high quality stream is just a treat overall. So this is, I know you guys traveled on Wednesday. Now there are multiple tournaments here. So there's a Classics 1 tournament that was on Friday, correct?
Yeah. So actually there is 5 tournaments total. You got your Target Match Play Classics, which is on day 1.
Which was Thursday?
Right. And then you'll still have qualifying for the main that starts during that time. And then the next day you'll have a 1-day tournament of Classics 1. You'll have qualifying that goes from like 9 a.m. till I believe it's like 4:30 p.m. And then we'd play the finals that night. And then the very next day it'd be Classics 2.
Okay.
So that's and then plus there was high stakes going on at the same time as well.
So the qualifying correct me if I'm wrong, but is the qualifying very similar? Is this a pump and dump where you can just play each individual game, or is this a ticket system, or how did this work?
It's a ticket system. So it's a pop a card ticket, and it's very difficult. This is much more difficult to qualify for than just a pure pump and dump, because in a pure pump and dump, you can go play like ass on the same game for like 15, 20 games in a row, and you'll eventually break through. But on this, you have to play good, or at least halfway decent on 5 straight games. Now, that doesn't mean you could go back and forth. You could play a couple of games in the main, then you could go over to high stakes and classics. But ultimately, you have one ticket that leads to each individual event. So you'll have one ticket for classics, one for main, one for high stakes, whatever you're playing in. So there's no crossover in between that. They're each their own individual thing. But you have to put in 5 games in main. And I think high stakes was 5 games and classics was 4 games. But it's insanely difficult to do, though.
And how much is a ticket?
I think classics was 15. Main was 20. High stakes was 500 for 10 tickets, is what it was. So originally it used to be just 50 per ticket, which it still was, but up front you're putting in $500.
Yeah, so instead of just one more ticket, no, you're buying a whole nother 10 tickets.
Yeah, it's like coin dropping like $5 a game or whatever it was, whatever the math works out to. But and then they maxed out the participants in that tournament too. There was 80 people total. That was the cap, and I'm pretty sure that they reached. I know that there was a couple that couldn't make it that had signed up, but
All right.
It reached 80. So it was a lot of money. Whatever 80 times 500 is, it's a lot.
I'm not going to attempt to do math on a podcast ever again.
Damn, I was hoping you would.
No, not doing it. Even my dad gave me a hard time for that.
Well, to give you an idea, it was $15,000 for first place, and I believe it was over $30,000 in prize money for the top 4. And what made high stakes even more difficult, only the top 8 got in.
Yep. So, I mean, we could skip right to it because you were high stakes. So high stakes is the final thing. This is Sunday night. It's the final thing. You're saying anybody that bought tickets to try to get in this, put a lot of money down to try to do it. You, I know, going into the Open were like right on the bubble. You were 8th, I think. And then our good friend Robert Byers of Top Rope Pinball kept grinding away, and he ended up as the number 1 seed. So he bumped you out. He
sniped me. Yeah. What an a-hole. And I still had, what made this even worse, I ended up with only I still had 1 ticket left.
Oh,
so
no.
I spent $50 and didn't get to play it, but
but still. So high stakes. So fast forward, this is Sunday night. This is the Open just finished. The top 8 players are there. They're all very good players. Keith Elwin was one of them. I know that. Escher was one of them.
They were all great
Robert
players.
Byers, they're all great.
Well, here was the difference, Joel, is that, and I was mentioning this to a few other players. I mean, we were all psychotic, basically, to put in $500. let's face facts. And the reality is there was like 30 or 40 of us knuckleheads that legitimately thought we were going to be in the top 8 because, math, it just made sense. But midway through that type of qualifying, you're looking at the scores and you're just like, holy shit, where is this coming from? Like, I would put up 20 billion on Johnny Mnemonic and I would look up and it's like 25th.
So back to the ticket system for non-tournament players. What he means by a ticket is you have to play 5 games in a row and you're looking at your score compared to everybody else. So if you happen to get the top score in a game, you get 100 points, right? And then
I believe it was 200 for
200. Okay. Mm-hmm. But then like the second highest score goes down to whatever. It's a few points less than that. And then so you're wherever position you are, your points are dwindling down. So, in a perfect world, if you're playing 5 games and you get the top score in all 5 games and you're saying each game's worth 200 points, you could walk away with 1,000. 1,000 could be like, that's a ranking that would be unbeatable. I mean, it's the high score. Well, looking at a lot of these qualifiers, these top scores are close to the 900 point range. So, I mean, it's like to qualify out of 5 games in a row and on one card, you better be placing like in the top 10 of each one of those 5 games to be ranked high. And then on the high stakes, it's absurd. Like it is, you have to have 5 amazing games in a row just to make the tournament. It's pretty crazy. So, well, I saw you were 8th. Unfortunately, that knocked you out. So the high stakes tournament, we'll come back to that, but I think that's incredible. But you're saying just the classics. So Classics tournament, there was match play on Thursday, and then we got to Classics 1 on Friday. Classics 1, you say four tickets to get in. I watched a good bit of that. That was fantastic to watch. It's kind of a great like intro, fun stream to watch. I think that was the first one that Karl streamed. Really well done. I don't remember exactly with Classics 1 who came out the winner. I think Andy Rosa was really high when I checked. I don't remember who won. Do you remember who won in Classics 1?
Well, I know Andy Rosa Jr., or the second, Baby Rosa, as I like to call him. He won the target match play.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not sure who won the Classics 1 because honestly, I wasn't paying attention to it. I didn't play in it, so I was over in the main.
You were just grinding.
I want to say Jason Zoller won it. I thought I saw a picture of that earlier.
That's right.
So that would make more sense to me.
That's right. Okay, so Jason won. That's kind of the first night. Now, side note, Keith Elwin did not play in that tournament. He did not participate in Classics 1. Classics 2 rolls around. Classics 2 was another great day of fun, exciting things. We'll fast forward right to the end. Keith Elwin. I'm going to be saying Keith Elwin a lot. And the reason I like... For anybody that's listening, if you're still here that you're not a tournament player, thank you. Hopefully you're learning and will appreciate some more about tournament play. Keith Elwin is arguably one of, if not the best, like pinball tournament player of all time. And
I don't think there's any argument.
It's insane what Keith can do. But Keith, the designer of Jurassic Park, Godzilla, like incredible player. but he's good. We're talking classics. So classics games are anything prior to a DMD, right? That's what's considered a classic.
Pretty much, yeah.
So you're talking EM, alphanumeric. That's that wheelhouse. Well, Keith obviously grew up playing all these. He knows these. This is a challenge because we got a bunch of these younger kids with, Jason and Escher, and there's a ton of we can say Ray Day, a ton of these younger guys, Dalton, that are incredibly good at modern Sterns. But the challenge there is you got to go backwards too. You got to be good with these older games with weaker flippers and more simple skill sets and whatnot. And so this is where you get these classics tournaments. Keith excels in classics. Well, Keith excels at everything, but he excels in classics. You participated in classics too. How did you and Tom do going into that?
I'm not quite sure how Tom did. I know Neil, he ended up qualifying.
Did very well.
I think he was like 25th or so. And I ended up, I put in one practice card just to see where everything was at. Then I put in just one card to get in. I put up a decent score with Paragon and Frontier. And then, of course, we all discovered Car Hop, which was freaking hilarious. Yeah. So that was like the low-hanging fruit that all of us were talking about, that we were just like, oh, okay, here's a game that we can all control. Here's a game that we can put up a lot of points on. And it's a Gottlieb, for those that don't know. And basically, the whole meta to that game was you would plunge and it would go up to your upper right flipper. Then you would shoot it across the playfield through a spinner. That would give you basically like a skill shot that was worth 2.5-3 million. But then the ball would come right back down to a perfect trap to your left flipper. And then you would just rinse and repeat, because as soon as you went up to that spinner or you go up the middle, it'd come back to your left flipper. And then you would just go to the right side that would hit this target and then feed back to your upper right flipper. And then you would just rip the spinner again. So the whole entire game turned out to be that, well, until we got to finals, but the whole entire game was pretty much that. So yeah, I did that, and then did the cheetah meta too, to where we all realized that the left orbit was perfectly feeding the left in lane, and that you could just rinse and repeat that shot and just bump it over. And I mean, it was a boring way to play it, but it was a safe way to play it. It basically all but guaranteed you 1 million points, possibly even 2 up to 5 million if you just followed it through. So I mean, that's part of it. I mean, unfortunately, it may not be the sexiest thing to watch on stream, but when there's money on the line, there's whoppers on the line, you travel out there to compete, you want to try to find repeatable shots. And if you can find a repeatable shot that does not make you be in trouble, then that's what you're going to do. Yep.
You got to play safe. Now, Car Hop, I was watching you on stream with that. It looks like there's some sort of mode or option where you can pick a perk, almost is what it was. And was one of those perks double or nothing?
Yeah, so it was so bizarre because, again, some of the game behavior would be a little bit different if you're in a 4-player game compared to a single-player game.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is so, for instance, for mine, there was a double up feature to where you could double your score. Well, I was aware that it was there. What I'm not aware of, because this is the first time I've ever seen the game, I was not aware of how to actually light it. I just knew what to do as soon as it was lit, as soon as it started. Well, I'm going to, raise the degrees, just follow the inserts around, then eventually just start bashing the center target. So I had figured out that much. And so in my match with Jeff Teolis, and I believe, I forget the other two, but I know Jeff was in the group with me, but I ended up finding that a couple of times and used it in that way. And so that's just figuring out what's there. Well, now, what was hilarious is I think you're talking about the catch-up, though. I think is what you're talking about. So
one of them said double or nothing. Yeah.
So this one didn't happen in my group. We might be talking about two different things, but this was hilarious. And this is what led to this game getting thrown out. So in another group, it was Colin McAlpine, Eric Stone, Haley George, and Andy Bagwell. I know, a really crappy group for those scoring at home. Yeah, just horrible players. Obviously. So, but no, so you have all these exceptional players, right? And you know that they are going to just crush these shots over and over again. Well, then it was seen that somebody had picked what was called catch-up. It just went into the saucer. You get to pick what it was. And apparently, by doing this, it would launch your score up or bring it up to the person closest to you that's still above you.
Yep.
So we saw Andy basically instantly scored 30 some odd million points to catch up to Kaylee. And then I think somebody else did it later on. So this was like, it was just a game of cat and mouse the rest of the time. But it was so freaking hilarious watching it in person. I don't know how it was watching
it was awesome
on stream.
Now, I'm pretty sure I was watching it at the time. It was on mute because I was doing something with, I think the kids were watching a show or something. But I just kind of had it on and I was like, what just happened? Like, to see him pick that and then bloop, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, all he has to do is hit one more target and now he just took over, went up a place. But the double or nothing, I swear it said double or nothing. And I think you have 10 seconds or 15 seconds to hit the target X amount of times, whatever it was.
Okay, yeah, that was like the heat wave or something like that. Yeah, that's what I did. It was a little bit different than catch up. I think I would have
doubled your score.
Yeah, it did, but it was kind of scary because then you had to basically flip real quick. You had to do the thing real quick, and I don't know. I mean, I like that in a game. Yeah. I don't know if it necessarily belongs in competitive pinball, but it was awfully fun to do.
I swear at that moment, though, I feel like you were in second. I think it was ball 3. I feel like you were in second. You're in a good, safe spot. Yep. And all of a sudden, he picks this double or nothing. And I was like, is this truly double or nothing? Like, is he going to lose his score if he doesn't finish this mode?
Oh, that's what you're saying.
It was counting down time. And you got down to and I see you just bashing this middle target. And then all of a sudden, like with 1 or 2 seconds left, boom, you bash the target again. And boom, your score is doubled. You're in first place. And I was like, if he would have missed that target, he could have gone from second to fourth. I assume that's what double or nothing means. But just having that kind of stuff in a high-end tournament was crazy to watch.
Luckily, I don't think it would take away my score because I did fail at it once and it didn't go back. So, but that would have been hilarious.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If it would have truly been a double or nothing, if it would have taken away my score, I don't know if I would have tried to sacrifice 2 points for that.
Yeah, I'm like, he's in second place. So what did he mean by points? So the way that this tournament works is once you get in, so you qualify with this card system. So you got to play consistently, 5 great games in a row or classics 4 great games in a row. Otherwise, you throw in the card out and you're going again. And that's why the Open, which is the main tournament, was on Sunday. So people had all day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, to grind away to try to get in a good spot for the Open or just to qualify for the Open. And I think for the Open, it was 260 something people bought cards or attempted, and they only let the top 40 in. I mean, it was and like I said earlier, there are 60 of the top 100 players were there. And so only 40 are making the, I mean, it was absurd. It was absurd. So anyways, he mentioned points. So when you win, if you're competing against 3 people, so there's 4 of you, when the game ends, whoever got first place got 4 points. Whoever got second place got 2. Third place got 1. Fourth place got 0. And so it's best of 3 games. So the most that a person could get would be 12, but you end up in some weird positions where, okay, going into this next game, we need this person to get third and this person to get first, and then there could be a tiebreaker situation. It's super intriguing to watch. Even if you don't know about the game or don't really care, it's just watch the game. Usually the announcers or, Karl has a really good setup where people can draw on the board and they're going to say hey, this is what they're going to attempt to do, or this is what they're trying to do, and try to get you in the mind of the player. It was awesome. It was super awesome to watch. So Classics 2 finished and you got in, but how did you finish in Classics 2?
Oh gosh, I think I flamed out in quarterfinals because I got through the first round, and then quarterfinals, it was just completely forgot how to play pinball. Probably my 3 worst games. Yeah. I think it's the first time I ever got a 0 in a round. I took last every single game, all 3 games. And I think I was playing Josh Sharp, Jack Tadman, and Joe Lemire. So definitely 3 exceptional players.
Yeah, these are all players it's insane. Yeah. Okay, so Classics 2, but so I know Keith Ellen, he won it. He won the whole thing. So Keith basically shows up.
He did it in style too. If you guys haven't seen this, so he basically went to finals, and I think he played, I might have to bring it up. So he played Teolis, Johnny Monica, and Jack Tadman, and they played 8-ball, Paragon, and Stars. And of course, Elwin, he did decent on 8-ball, got 263. For him, that's probably an off game. For me, that's exceptional. That game plays tough. Then Paragon, he gets 620, and he just makes it look easy.
Yep.
It's insane. But then he steps up the Stars and basically just absolutely destroys it. Is getting specials left and right. He's trying to roll it. We're just all watching like, oh my God, what is going on? This not human. What he was doing. It's crazy. So if you get a chance to watch it, definitely it's Classics 2 playoffs. And this was done in front of, I think, 10 or 15,000 people watching during the time.
We do have to mention that. So IEpinball, Karl DeAngelo is streaming this whole thing. Karl got partnered on Twitch. And what that means is it's relatively easy to become affiliated with Twitch. You just have to have like 50 followers or something. It's not in a certain number of hours. It's not particularly hard to like get to a point where you can make money on Twitch.
You just got to have a pulse is what you need.
Pretty much.
You'll get affiliate if you have a pulse. Yep.
Now, but partnered is a whole nother story because they limit the number of people within each category on how they can get partnered. There's a certain number of average viewers you have to get, hours streamed, all this stuff. Karl has met those requirements for quite a long time. And I know he's applied multiple times to become a partner, and it finally happened. It finally happened a few months ago. He got partnered. And it's like, well, cool. That's, now he has a little badge. But what it did do, though, was it kind of opened a door for him on now Twitch is aware of who he is. And so I think what happened was there was somebody at Twitch working in the background that liked Karl or liked Pinball and knew this was coming. And so what happened was they put the stream on the front page. Now, this has happened before in Pinball. Typically, when Jack Danger with Dead Flip does like a Stern reveal, Jack has reached out or Stern has reached out. There's some sort of communication. So Twitch knows, hey, during this 2 hours or 1 hour slot, let's go ahead and put this stream on the front page. I don't know what happened with IEpinball, but all of a sudden, boom, it's on the front page. So what does that mean? It means anybody that logs on to twitch.com, that is going to be one of the suggested, 6-8 videos. And the number of people that popped into chat, I mean, it got over 10,000 people, which is normally for a stream, like this type of tournament stream, I don't know. Maybe 1,000? I mean,
somewhere right around there. Yeah.
But like that's the normal pinball community watching is 1,000. And now all of a sudden, boom, 10,000. I think it got over 15,000 at one point.
Yeah. And what's crazy about it is that was basically people coming in and out too. So it's kind of hard to tell like who all was staying there, but we do know that there was a lot of people still sticking around because you could tell the questions in the chat that people were asking about certain things. I know I got several messages, just text messages from different people that didn't even realize I was at a pinball tournament, but they get on Twitch all the time. They're like, you're on the front page. And I'm like, oh yeah, I am. I'm at pinball. So
let me focus for a second.
Yeah. It's like, there's a lot of different people that were discovering it. And so, I mean, for pinball, that is excellent because and it was happening during multiple events, multiple days, because they did the same thing for Maine too. So hopefully they decide to go ahead and start showing at least the major tournaments. They start showing it more on the recommended page or the front page, just because to me, it's something that's important. I think it's something that's needed because you see a bunch of other, I guess, video games or esports or what have you that's on Twitch that gets that type of publicity. So, I mean, just being able to have that with pinball, I think that's crucial. And that was one of the things that I was hoping to see too. Once Karl did get partner, and even with Tom with Fox Cities, is I was hoping that the ones that can achieve partner, that's what opens up the door. And if that door opens up more, that just helps pinball even more. It gives a bigger opportunity for people to come in and sponsor because it's in front of more people. It gives more chance for discovery from a younger demographic because obviously Twitch's age, they skew younger anyways. And we've talked about that in the past. So something like that is excellent as well. And, overall, it was pretty exciting to be a part of a heavily watched pinball event. It's very surreal.
It was as a viewer, it was surreal. Like, I just feel like pinball feels so small and close knit that it's like to see all of a sudden 10,000+ people in chat. First, part of me was like proud of Karl. I'm like, Karl earned this. Like he deserves this. He did. I was so proud of Karl for that, like for him to get all those views. But also, like, chat was amazing. There were so many people who were like, oh, I didn't know people streamed pinball. And for chat to be so supportive and like, of course, you should check out Pinside. You should check out PinMap. You should see if there's pinball machines in your area. It was just like, there were pinball people in chat just like being supportive. It could have gone toxic really quick. It could have been, it was awesome to see the chat because I know for a fact there were people that that followed Karl. So I hope they get to see many more of his streams, and other people are like this, that you could tell these people that had no idea we're excited. We're excited and locked in and watching. So there it is. There it is. His camera has gone out. It's that time. Yep.
I wish I could say I just do this on purpose.
No, Elgato, no signal. There it is.
I'll fix that eventually.
So,
But
anyways, so
it is great though for Karl.
Yeah.
I mean, just to touch base on this a little bit more before we move on, I think that I hope everybody out there understands how important Karl is to the industry in general and how important he is to competitive pinball. But not just that, it's truly the industry in general, because somebody putting in that much time and effort to get the equipment out there, he is a world-class player himself, and he's sacrificing his chance for a world championship in order to basically put this whole thing on a platform and to give us the opportunity to be on that platform. Because without Karl, nobody's paying attention to this except for us that care, that are there. Nobody's discovering it. And so to me, just the sacrifice, I hope people understand how important of a sacrifice that really is, how big of a deal that really is. And I think the last I checked, even the VOD's combined views, it's over 1 million now.
Yeah.
Which is just, that is for pinball, that's insane. If you go to Reddit, some of the stuff, the Escher clip, which we'll get to later, that's already gone viral. I mean, I have people, I came home and I had over 200 messages on my Facebook, just people discovering it, going viral, like seeing the clips, seeing on Twitch. So, I mean, that's huge. And none of that would have happened if Karl doesn't stream.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the reality of it.
100%. And he's put in the work. He's put in the work to deserve that. And I mean, there's a lot of other people that stream tournaments. Obviously, our good friend Tom Graff with Fox City streams a lot of tournaments. And it's a selfless act in that sense. And so it was amazing. It was so great to watch, and it was exciting to watch for sure. But what I want to say, so for Classics 2, Keith shows up. I have no idea how many cards it took him to get in, gets in, just dominates the tournament. Boom, he gets first. Then there's the next day. So that was on Saturday. So he's qualified for both high stakes and the main tournament. So here we go. You get into the main tournament. If you qualified top 8, I think you got 2 rounds of bye, because you qualified pretty high.
So if you qualify top 4, you get 2 rounds of bye. Top 8, you got a bye.
Okay.
That's how it worked. And I think it might even been more than that. It might have been like top 12, maybe.
Okay.
I forget.
But whatever it was,
I'm drawing a complete blank right now.
I remember seeing, this is the Open. So this is the big one. This is the one that people have been grinding away for 2 days. Now the Open is any game. So it's any game from a modern. I think they had all the most modern, I think, was Rush. There was a Rush in the game, all the way to EMs. Like, it was everything was in the Open. And I know you got in. Now Neil got in. Did Tom get in?
I don't know. Tom didn't get in, and Neil, he got in at 40th. Like, just barely snuck in there. And luckily, I mean, we knew that if he got in, he was going to do some damage in the tournament. So I was happy to see Neil get in. And it is top 16. Top 16 gets a bye. So
well, okay, real quick side note, I don't want to overpass it, but there was a women's tournament as well, and there were some really good high-end women players that were there. I know Karl streamed that, and Monica, your wife, she placed top 8.
That's true. You are correct. I totally forgot. There's actually, well, if we want to go in even deeper, there was more than even those tournaments. There was the Gauntlet for the volunteers. There was a Strikes tournament. There was a youth tournament. So I
don't want to leave off.
There was a lot of other stuff going on. No, the women players are exceptionally good. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's some scary players there that they definitely can play. If you watch some of the Prospector games, they were blowing it up. I mean, even Monica, she got like over 700,000, I think, and lost by 2,000 or 3,000 points to I think it was Anna Neal from Hot Nudge, I believe.
Yep.
That happened in semis. And then, of course, you got Leslie Ruckman, who's a great player, fantastic player. Then Ashley Weaver ended up winning it. And she's a very good player. Yep.
I don't know Ashley, but I do recognize Anna Neal from streaming. And then Leslie Ruckman, she streams as well. She streams pinball. So her Twitch name's El Rucco. She's on Game Time Television with Raw Dog. But it's great. It was cool to see that. So it's just cool to see players that I know do well, exceptionally well. So that was Saturday morning. or that was on Saturday, I think. But
Yeah.
this is so okay. So here we are on Sunday. You guys are in the open. I just feel Tom did make some, like, I don't want to leave Tom. I know he's not here. It feels weird him not being here. He did make like, I think he threatened to retire multiple times, I think, over the few weekends. But I
mean,
definitely know he was a proud papa because
Tom made
Neil
the trip, but I don't know where he where he ended up at. Because here's the reality of it. There was, just like you said earlier, there was like 60 or 70 or however many top 100 players there, and there was only 40 spots.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of big name players that are known that did not make the A finals cutoff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was a couple of former world champions that didn't make the cut. There was, some upsets, some players that snuck in and got into the top 40. Then, of course, there's, the normals that you would expect to see.
The Keiths and the Eschers.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, and that's the way a tournament like this goes. It's tough. It's a grinder. It's not guaranteed for 95% of us that we're going to make the cut. I mean, sometimes you just got to have the ball bounce a certain way. Sometimes you just got to make the right decision. And what's crazy about it is it could be like one spinner rip or one extra jackpot or one add ball. That's the difference. I mean, because you mess up on one game, you have a busted card. And when you bust your card, it's catastrophic because then you set yourself back 5 games to where you have to re-queue up, you have to wait in line, then you have to do well all over again. In theory, each busted card most likely will set you back, if you're playing certain games, 2 to 4 hours at a time. Because if the queue's 25 minutes to 30 minutes long for a game, you're going to be waiting for a little while.
No wonder you're grinding for days, essentially to try to get that spot. So you made it into the open. I know Neil made it in the open. I don't know. I did not start watching the open until later that day. We were pretty busy on that Sunday. And I think Neil was already out at that time. Do you remember how far Neil got?
Neil made it all the way to semifinals. He was on his 3rd game in semis. He had a chance to go through. So he made it
Maybe he wasn't being
ways.
Streamed at that point, because I did see him on stream. I saw Tom on stream. I saw you on stream many times.
Yeah, the stream was just kind of bouncing back and forth. But Neil started in the first round. And so he won out 3 straight rounds. And he got on an extreme heater. I think it was in his 2nd round. He was in a group with Arvid, and I'm going to pronounce this wrong. Apologies. Flygare. I don't know. He's a European player, young kid, but exceptionally good. I think he's the reigning EPC champion too. So I'm pretty sure he won a major just recently. And then he was also in a group with Dominant Step and then Daniele, who anybody in competitive pinball knows about. But Neil he did great that round. I think it was on Tron, Mystery Castle, and Deadpool, and he swept the round and got 12 points.
Nice.
And then I think even the next round, he was in a group with Zach McCarthy, who's the reigning Open champion, and Daniele again. And I forgot who the other player was. I think his name was Gabe, but I've never met him before. But Neil, he did great again. He swept the round again. So, the kid was on an absolute heater. I mean, just destroying games left and right. And then he put himself in a position to advance on. It just unfortunately didn't go that way for him. But I fully expect him to make it up there eventually.
Yeah. Well, so I was watching that, and then I saw you were still in it. So random side note here. TNA is no longer here. And it's not that I did not sell TNA. I love TNA. I'm a huge fan of TNA, but I wanted to try Jurassic Park, and I have a guy in the area that has one, and he's got a good collection. And so we decided to do a temporary trade for Jurassic Park. So I had a Jurassic Park premium that was all bundled up. All I had to do is get it down to my basement. My brother came over to help me do that. And that was our plan for Sunday evening, was to unbox Jurassic Park and play Jurassic Park. Instead, I'm waiting for my brother to show up. I turn this on and I see at that point, you were in the semifinals, and you were in a position where you went to a tiebreaker, I think, versus Kaylee, correct?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So I'm like, holy crap, like Travis might make finals here. So my brother shows up right while you're in this tiebreaker. And here I am, like, standing in front of the television, like pacing in the room, like, okay, where are we at? And Jared's like, what's going on? I was like, competitive pinball, gave him a real brief, like, this is what's going on. Travis, for him to pass, like, this is what we're doing. So let's watch. And that tiebreaker was pretty intense just for you to get through it.
Yeah, that was,
it was Flash, right?
Yeah, so it was, I believe, in that round. So if we're talking semifinals, I had Escher Lefkoff,
Yeah.
Haley George, and Jason Weirdrick in our
Yep.
group. And we played Congo, Mystery Castle, Tommy. And it was definitely a tough group. I felt fine on Congo. I felt fine on Mystery Castle. I just barely came up short against Escher. I wish I would have got a win in one of those. So I didn't put myself in the position. But
Yep.
Tommy was like the one game I did not want to play.
Which is, I think, when it started streaming was Tommy. That's when
Yeah.
I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was, so Tommy, that was probably maybe the 5th time I've ever actually played the game. And
Okay.
I'm not too familiar with the rule set. I know the basics of it, but wasn't familiar with the bounces, wasn't really familiar with anything in general. I was just trying to survive. And I mean, I was fortunate with a couple of bounces just to survive in order to get to a tiebreaker. So
Mhm.
what happened was, and I was put in just it was a horrible position to be in, because here I was going to face off against Kaylee George, who is one of the best pinball players of all time.
He's incredible.
And I had pick, but I had exhausted my picks. So the games I would normally go to, I couldn't do it. I couldn't go to Rush. I couldn't go to Tron. I couldn't go to Deadpool. I used those up in quarterfinals, and I couldn't go back to Congo, to my knowledge. And so I literally ran out of games that I would have chosen.
Oh, wow.
And so in my head, because I had picked Twister earlier too. And so I was thinking about the games I wanted to play, and I just kept eyeballing Flash Gordon. And to be flat out honest with you, I still remembered that game kicking the dog shit out of me at Free Play Florida. And I instantly, as soon as I just thought about that and it just crossed my mind, I was like, I don't care about any other game. I'm going to prove to myself that I can beat this game.
Yeah.
So as crazy as it sounds, I didn't pick it because I was like, oh, Kaylee, I could beat Kaylee at this. Or, oh, I think he might have, like, I don't think on that level. I think about what can I do on a game.
We won't give you too much credit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, because I had rewatched it, and I think somebody had mentioned to me that they thought I did it as a strategic pick, avoiding Stearns. I was like, no, I would have picked Rush. If it was available, 100%. I would have picked Rush, or I would have picked Tron. I felt comfortable getting to 500 plus million on Rush. I felt comfortable getting to 100 million on Tron at that point because I had enough games on them. But with Flash Gordon, I was just like,
it's just an emotional pick. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm putting up the double-barreled middle finger at it. I'm going to show it that I can beat it. And it just happened to be at that stage. I know it's psychotic to pick it for that reason. But, when I really get down to it, I wasn't going to pick other games. I wasn't going to pick Revenge from Mars. And I wasn't going to pick the Next Generation Star Trek. It's just those games I'm okay with. But in that situation, I don't know. Just something competitive clicked in me that I wanted to show myself that I could do this on this game in this spot. So, and fortunately it worked out. I mean, it's just, Kaylee, he obviously had an off game. He could very easily put up 2 or 3 million on Flash Gordon. Let's not kid ourselves, but it's just, it was what it was. I was happy that the balls bounced my way for that tiebreaker. And then we got the finals.
Well, so that tiebreaker, one thing that was surprising is most time during tournament play, extra balls are always turned off. It's like a point thing. But for whatever reason, Flash Gordon, the extra ball was there. And so it was, you had inline drops over to the right. And it's like, you have to hit boom, boom, boom. You have to hit those down, and then you can hit that shot. And so it was like, to see, it's like, okay, that's what Travis is doing. He's trying to get that extra ball. And I'm pretty sure you did. And that helped, and you got through, but it was kind of a nail biting thing of like, holy crap, he just made finals. Like, and you look at the 4 people that were in it. It was Keith Elwin, Escher Lefkosh. Escher, if anybody's new to this, Escher's the number 1 rated player in the world right now. He's 19. He's been winning tournaments since he was like 12. I mean, the kid is unbelievably good. And then Zach, I'm sorry, I don't know his last name.
Jason Zoller.
Jason. And Jason was the guy that had won Classics 1, right?
Yeah, he won Classics 1, and he's been on an absolute tear this past year as well. I think he's ranked 3rd in the world currently.
So the guy that won Classics 1, the first tournament of the week, is in quarterfinals. The guy, Keith Elwin, that won Classics 2 is in the quarterfinals. Escher, the number 1 player in the world, is in quarterfinals. And then Travis Murie. Murie.
This all was finals, Joel, not quarterfinals.
You're right.
Finals,
But it's finals. It's you.
Right.
I mean quarters, as in you made the top 4.
But I see what you mean, though. Yes. When you look at the names, you're like, one of these doesn't belong with the others. Yeah. But it was one of those things to where, honestly, I had, and just kind of like a little behind the scenes, I have been like just practicing my ass off, and we've talked about this before off camera and on the Facebook Messenger and everything. I've set up my games just on death mode. All saves are off. I've taken posts completely out. If you're on Ray's Discord, you probably saw what I did to my rush just to get prepared to where the lane's just like as wide as the Grand Canyon. I had to do the things necessary to try to make it to where I really focused on accuracy, and I really focused on defensive capabilities of getting the ball back under control. And so it's not so much, I'm used to high stress situations just from baseball and everything. So I don't get nervous when I play. That never enters my mind, and the money doesn't matter. I don't compete for the money. So that doesn't even enter the equation either. I just enjoy competing, and I want to see how far I can get. So yeah, there was a lot of prep that went into getting to this point, and a lot of hours spent just practicing. And I'd always wanted to try to get into a top 4. And my overall goal has never been to actually win a major championship. It was just to be in the conversation about it. And if I could do that, I would be happy. And now that it's happened, I mean, I'm as ecstatic about it. It's amazing.
It was insane. Like, as a friend of yours, to see you in that position was incredible. And don't get me wrong, like you and Neil and Tom and every other tournament, like high-end tournament player, top 100 player, you guys are putting in work. I mean, you guys are traveling to tournaments almost every other week is what it seems like. I mean, you are putting in work, not only, going to tournaments, competing in tournaments, doing it at home. Like, you didn't just fall into the top 4. There's no, you had to prove that the whole weekend.
Every single group was a grinder. If you look at all the names that were there in each group could have been a final on its own. Yeah. In all reality, it could have been. It wasn't, tournaments like this, it's not necessarily the most skilled player that will always make it through. I mean, at times you've got to have some luck on your side. I mean, for instance, when I was in, I think it was quarterfinals, I mean, I was going into the last game with a 1. And so I had to have Keith basically co-pilot my ass to the next round, because I had to win and I had to exceed everybody else's score. And Keith had to finish a certain spot too to make the points go right. And sometimes that's just where it falls. I mean, we've all been there before if we competed enough. But yeah, it's just, when I look at the names, whenever I go play competitive pinball, this is what I want. I want to play the best players that I can. And I want to play them as soon as possible. I mean, I want to win. I want to make finals. But, I do this because I want to see how good I can possibly be. Yeah. And the only way to know that is to play against the best of the best. That's the only way
Which is a huge plug just for this tournament in general. Like, the Open is open to anybody. Anybody could have walked in there and bought a ticket. So if you're into competitive play, or like, let's say you dominate your local bar, whatever, like, you could do this. You could come compete in INDISC next year if you wanted to. I mean, which is really cool. But so here you are, the finals. Now it's best of 3 games, same system. You get first, second, yada, yada. I remember so Flash Gordon was one of them. Bad Girls was one of them. What was the first?
Firepower was the first one.
Firepower was the first one. So like I said, I have a brand new Jurassic Park Premium that I was ready to play. And instead, my brother and I were glued to the television.
Instead.
Glued to the television. And there were some really good announcers at the time, and just trying to, okay, what's the strategy here? What are we trying to do? And I remember Keith won. Keith won it, so he got 4 points. Where did you? I forget what position you ended with. I
had to grind out just to get a third, because my goal was, when I played Firepower earlier in the weekend, I had Shats my way to over 200,000 without even putting it back up top. So I figured, okay, I could keep it safe. It wasn't going up and out. I'll just do that until I get it maxed out. Then I'll start going up top to collect bonus and go from there. But my first ball, it didn't go the way I planned. Then the second ball was a house ball. I feel like I probably should have saved it. I just didn't nudge it hard enough, and it went to the left out lane. So that was most likely my fault. I'll just take full blame for it. But then my ball 3, I only had 19,000 points going into it. And I think Zoller had about 70. I think Escher was probably at like 20 or 30, or maybe even 40, 50, somewhere right around there. I know he's a little bit above me. So I had to do some work just to make sure I at least got a point out of it, because it could have gone either way. So I just switched up tactics. I decided just to keep putting it up top, get a multiplier going. And then I discovered I just didn't feel good about the spinner shot at all, which was from right to left. And so ultimately, anytime I was on the right side, I tried to Schatz over to the left and then send it back up top through the orbit. And I wasn't worried about lighting my kickback or anything like that. I didn't want to send the ball out of control, ball 3. I just wanted to try to get points, get pops action where I could, and just hopefully get back under control. That was my main goal with that game.
And absolutely, I mean, if you're listening or watching this, like, Karl will upload these streams to YouTube at some point, but as of right now, you can go on his Twitch page and watch all of this. But it's like, go watch
the other 600,000 people.
Go watch the finals. It was so awesome to watch. Right. And I remember seeing that. I was like, okay, Travis, ball 3, like, you've got to get 1 point. You worked your way up. Now it ended with Keith winning, so that was 4. Escher got second, so he had 2. You had 1, and then am I forgetting the guy? Josh, right? Jason got 0. So then we go to the next game, and the next game was Bad Girls. All I know about Bad Girls is people say Bad Girls is a mirrored 8-Ball Deluxe with some other stuff. I know the Buffalo Pinball guys love Bad Girls. They think it's incredible. I know Chuck Wirt is a big fan of Bad Girls. Gottlieb, right? So the flippers are a little different, but Bad Girls. So this is Keith, right? Keith is picking these games, correct?
Yes. Yep.
So Keith, and I know he likes going, like, he doesn't want to give you a modern stern. He doesn't want to give Escher a modern stern.
I would keep it in mind. I would keep in mind too, he had exhausted a lot of picks. Because once you pick a game in any round, you cannot pick it again. So that's a big reason why you see these types of game picks as well.
So here we are at the end. Bad Girls is what we're playing, and look it up if you're not familiar with the game. Look up the art; it's horrendous. But something very unique happened. So what I was saying, just what it seemed like the play was on the left side, you have 1 through 7, the balls, and then you have a drop target, which is ball 8. If you hit that drop target, then catch it, you go back up there. And again, that's essentially how you start your multi-ball. And it just seemed like that was the tactic. Just get into multi-ball, then do some stuff. There's a very target on the right that seemed valuable. There was Steve Bowden kept talking about the right orbit. You could kind of do that for a while and get points. So there's definitely options. It wasn't a do one thing except for being multi-ball. Well, Travis did something very unique. In pinball, you qualify the play field. And what that means is when you hit the start button, it sticks a ball into the shooter lane, and it's sitting on a switch. And you can sit there and you can plunge and plunge and plunge and plunge. But the game doesn't know you're out of the shooter lane until you've hit some other switch on the playfield.
And you validated the playfield.
And that's validating the playfield. So now the game knows the ball is on the playfield. So at that point, start your ball save, or if the ball save's turned off, it understands, no, the ball is in play. If you happen to plunge and the ball can literally roll all the way around the playfield and never hit a switch, and it goes back into the trough, the game assumes the ball, there was like a malfunction or something, like, and it just spits out another ball. I don't know exactly the logic behind it, but it will spit another ball out into the shooter lane. This is very common. Even in modern games, this is very common. And you typically can do that as many times as you want. And so typically
you can. Yes.
So here we are, my brother and I were watching, we're glued to the television. What's Travis doing? He's doing something. I didn't see Keith do it. I didn't see Escher do it, or the people before you, but you are trying to short plunge so that ball just kind of goes up in the orbit and then rolls down so you can catch it on the flipper. That was, no, you were trying to like short plunge it up into the pops or something.
Yeah, I was trying to get a skill shot is generally what I was trying to do. And then there was something else. I'll probably have to tell you exactly what I was trying to do off podcast, but we had made a discovery on the game.
Okay.
So, and I feel like nobody else was really trying for it, but I was like, hell, I'm going to throw a Hail Mary and see what happens.
Yeah,
and
you
of
threw
course,
it all right.
I threw it the wrong direction, didn't I?
So what happens is he plunges the ball. It doesn't do what he wanted it to do, but it doesn't hit a switch. So he like kind of caught it up on his flipper and then just like let the ball drain because there was it looked like the playfield wasn't validated. So it happened once. So he plunges again, doesn't hit his shot, lets the ball drain. It's like, okay, he's doing for this. Goes a third time, plunges it again, doesn't hit what he wants, lets the ball drain. Then he looks up at the score, and what does he see? He sees the score, instead of player 3 flashing, player 4 is now flashing. The game said, nope, you've tried enough. You're gone. You're done. You're done with your ball. And this does not happen in pinball. Like, he got 0 points. 0-0 is what flashed on the screen. 0-0. Think about it. In pinball, for a playfield to be validated, you have to hit a switch. And almost every pinball machine ever made, when you hit a switch, it gives you some points. 10, 5, I don't know. It depends on what the switch is. It gives you some points.
You even
Travis
score like
found
one,
a way to play his turn without earning a single point.
I found my way playing in front of thousands of people for a major championship against Keith Elwin, Escher Lefkoff, and Jason Zoller. And I decided to score no points.
0 points. Ball
without
one.
Tilting or anything.
Ball one of Bad Girls. 0-0.
That was instantly become an overnight meme for everybody. If you haven't seen that, hilarious. Yeah,
yes.
Oh my God.
It was incredible to see. So what happened? I mean, truthfully though, thank God you looked and saw that it had gone on to player 4. Because if you didn't and you plunged his ball, that's a DQ, right?
Then it'd be even worse.
Yeah.
Disqualified. So what happened was, in qualifying, that behavior was not happening at all.
Okay.
On a one-player game, it was not happening. So it was not expected to see this happen either. That's why you saw me just kind of step back and give that look like, is this really happening? You know, that was in my head. I was just like, bruh. Like, no. So so I asked for a ruling and nobody really knew. Like at the time, nobody around the area knew. And then they decided, well, we're just going to play on. And of course, we were able to recreate that. And sure as shit, single player game, it doesn't do it. Multiplayer game, it does do it. So
I think Escher was next. I think Escher was after you. And he's like, do I play? Do I go?
Because that was when I was consulting with Jim and Karl to see, okay, how are we going to approach this? Because I mean, the last thing I wanted to do was literally just skip my turn against those 3 with all that on the line. So I was just like, hell, I can't believe that happened. But I mean, I was, let's be fair. I was basically a walking meme all day long for the stream. I mean, on Congo earlier, I was in Skillfire. We didn't even talk about this on Congo. There's a mode on there, Skillfire, right? I don't know if you know what this is.
I don't know.
It's so basically you get to a point in the game where you just plunge for these 3 stand-up targets or even the left out lane to keep getting points. It's like a timed plunge thing, right?
Okay.
And my dumbass could not find the plunge the whole time. And I realized I'm not hitting it. So I even stop and slow down, try to time it. And I let it go again. Still don't hit it. I only got 5 million points. And you should get like 300 million. I got, I got like 325 in qualifying. And then all of a sudden I just could not find it. But yeah. So again, walking meme. That's what I ended up being. But yeah, I did not expect that.
Nobody
happened on that game.
Nobody did. Yeah.
I had this huge plan in my head. I knew what I was going to try to do, and I was being calm. I told myself after the first couple of plunges, I was like, let's just be patient, stick to the plan, don't get impatient, just send it to the pops and be out of control, because I knew coming out of that orbit, I could control it. I knew it was going to come, from a left to a right dead bounce. So when the game does things that you expect, and you feel safe, you do those things. You don't do so. In that point, you don't do anything different. Now, if I was just playing at the local bar, I would have probably just said, F it, just let it fly. But, at this point, it was like, no.
Those 3, you need all your tricks. Yeah. So
I showed the best trick of all. Don't score any damn points on ball 1.
In hindsight, I'm glad that I'm glad that thinking of 00 doesn't, make you fall up into a corner and cry, because I'm glad you've embraced this. But it was so weird to see, and we're just like, that just happened. And I know Jeff Teolis was giving you a hard time. He's like, I think there's a good chance ball 2 is going to be a better ball for Travis. Infinitely better. Like, it's like, well, yeah, 0. But it was great. So fast forward on that, Escher ended up winning 8-ball deluxe. Now Escher said later on, bad girls. Yes,
yeah.
He won. He said later on, it's like the 5th time or first time. Like, he's almost. I don't think he's ever played the game.
Yeah, I think he had told me before we played it was the first time.
Yeah,
he'd ever played it. But I mean, everybody knew the meta.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
You get into, you just do that.
And ultimately that was my big plan. I wanted to max out my orbit first and then start going in, because I just wanted to get base points on my ball 2. That's why I decided not to go for a multi-ball, because I saw where Escher was at. I saw that Zoller was having a difficult time getting some points, and I saw that Elwin was around 4.5 million. So I figured I need to at least catch up to that and be safe going into ball 3. Then I can start going multi-ball. But then, of course, when Escher came up and just absolutely destroyed his ball 2 after me,
there it goes again.
I just 00 again.
Yeah,
I just knew immediately. I was just like, I got to do something different come my ball 3, because Escher, he played his ball 2 exceptionally well.
Yeah. So that's what happened. Was it ended up, so Escher won it, but there was a time where I was like, okay, Travis is looking good. You may get second in this. And then Escher just went off. And then it was like, I don't know. As a viewer, it was like, Keith is Keith. Escher just went off. Travis, you got a long road to catch up. But you ended up getting 3rd, I think, in that one, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't even close. I mean, Elwin, he made a run on his ball 3, and he had some fantastic moves, and he kept getting into multi-ball and then getting his re-rack bonus on the left drops and all that. Basically, it's almost like a hurry up.
Crushing it, yeah.
Yeah, so they were all doing great. And I knew going into my ball 3, I would just have to go for broke, and just try to catch up, because I was down at the time, like maybe 18 million, I think, which is a tall order to get that on one ball in that game. So it just wasn't meant to happen, but I was happy enough to come away with 1 point.
Yeah,
2 balls.
So we got to game 3. So we're at Flash Gordon again, and going in the way the math works. So Keith's at 6 points, Escher's at 6 points, you're at 2, and Jason was at 0. So I was like, okay, I think mathematically, Keith and Escher, one of them is going to win this. Like, you can't.
Jason and I were eliminated mathematically, and I knew I was playing for at least second.
Yeah.
So I was still trying as hard as I could. And, it halfway crossed my mind to get out of the way and just go to second position and let them be there together. But then at the same time, I knew I was still competing for a spot.
Explain that. So these games, Keith he picked the first. Keith, why was Keith picking games? Explain that real quick.
Because he was the higher seed. He was the 3rd seed going in. I think Escher was the 4th seed. I was the 9th, and I think Zoller was the 19th or 18th. And so
this
seed.
is all back to qualifying for the tournament in general. Right. This is all back to the card system. So Keith was running the show because he was a higher seed. So he was driving the bus, right? So you either pick the game or you pick your position. That's the way that works.
Yeah, and that's ultimately why you saw the positions stay in the way that they were, because then it went to Escher to have pick a position after Keith took his pick of game. So
he would go 4th last.
Right. Yeah. So Escher would pick 4th, and I would take last available, which would be 3rd. Then Zoller would take 1st or 2nd. I think a couple of the games he ended up taking 1st on fire. No, I'm not sure. Maybe it's a different time.
The last one he picked 1st because there was a chance where you started to walk up because you were so used to playing after him that you started to walk up and then stopped and realized.
Yeah, then I realized, wait a
second.
second, he took. Yeah, I caught myself, and even Keith, to his credit, he was like, Travis, no, don't do it. And I'm like, sorry, Mr. Goat, I didn't mean it. But it's so I halfway thought about getting out of the way too, going into second. I don't know, maybe hindsight, I probably should have went ahead and did that, but I also felt like I was still playing for something because I was still trying for second place. My placing could have changed, but yeah, it was kind of surreal to be in that last match, though, considering what happened during it against 2 of the best players of all time.
It was insane. So really, I mean, your play was good. I'm trying to remember. I know you got extra ball and whatnot, but you still ended up with 3rd overall in that game.
Yeah, in this game, I didn't get an extra ball, and I ended up. I mean, it was an average game. If you're going to have a solid game of Flash Gordon on this particular model, you're going to have 800. thousand. That's
Okay.
that's a solid game, and that gives you an idea of how exceptional of a game both
Yes.
Escher and Elwin had on it.
Yeah. So Keith went. Jason had gone. He didn't have a crazy great game. Keith's put up some great points. I don't think he loved it, but I don't think he loved the number of points that he had. He ended up at like 1.5 million. But it was a great, like, in comparison to your score and Jason's and even Escher's in ball 3, it was way higher than everybody else's.
Yeah, it was close to a top 10 score overall. That would have been in qualifying.
Really good. Then you went and it was like, okay, Travis got third. Like Travis is, or at least he could have had second, but like I think you were barely above Escher, or I don't know. It wasn't.
Well, what happened was I was actually behind Zoller, so I had to like grind out and make sure that I at least got a point.
You got that, yep.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think it would have mattered anyways, because I think the best Zoller could have done at that point was just 1 point. So I think we were pretty much done. So my goal was I was trying just to put up as many points as I could at the off chance that I got it for. But I think at that point, mathematically speaking, I was pretty much done for regardless. So I mean, if I wasn't in that spot, I kind of thought about just plunging and just getting out of the way and letting them do it. But at the same time, I was just going to play it out.
Yeah, I don't blame you for playing it out at all. But I remember that just the fact that Keith's score was higher than Jason's, I knew like that you had no chance at second. Whatever it was, it's like, okay, but you're putting up points. You got third. Your ball drained. It's like, way to go, Travis. Okay, let's see what Escher does. But I thought the way it was going to play out was Escher might surpass you. It may not. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But is Escher going to catch up with Keith? He's going to have one heck of a ball three. And he did. So I know Keith in that last round got an extra ball, and his extra ball like was really short. He didn't really do anything with it. I think he had a really good ball 1. He got an extra ball, didn't do anything with it. His ball 2 was okay. Maybe it was real quick, and then ball 3 was fine. But he had put up such a great score. Then Escher walks up and just hits stuff. I mean, everything he needed to do, he started doing. And I remember the way the announcers were describing it is he hit something. It was a spinner or something, and they're like, his score is going to keep going up for a while here. Like it's not all at one point. It's just like, watch it. That score is going up, and we don't know where it's going to end. Like, so just buckle up, basically. And it just kept going and going, and he's playing and he's playing and he's playing, and then he drains, and everybody is watching that score slowly go up, and there's a clip of this. You got to watch it. It's on Twitch. But as you're seeing it, 1.5 is what you're wanting to see. As soon as it was shortly over 1.5, and as soon as it crosses 1.5, or it was 1.4 something was Keith. So as soon as we knew we saw 1.5, it was over. And as soon as he hits it, everybody flipped out. Escher goes and hugs his dad. I mean, it was incredible to watch. And here's Keith. I mean, Keith has been in this position so many times. He just walks up to the game, kind of gives it a, kind of a, okay. And he lost by 6,000 points. Out of 1.5 million, he lost by 6,000 points, which is unbelievable. I mean, what an incredible finish. And, I know Zach Minnie, he goes on a huge thing on like, why are modern games not being used? This could be such a good selling tool. Would this final have been better if that game would have ended that way on Rush? I don't know. But to me, as a pinball person, I don't care. It was just to see the flipper mechanics that you have, the control that you guys have, the nudging, this is what you're trying to do. What are you trying to, and then it end the way it did. It was unbelievable to watch. And you were there, obviously.
It made for fantastic pinball. I mean, it by far, it's probably at least for sure the number 2 moment in pinball history. I mean, Johannes and Daniele a couple of years ago, with Dracula, that was insane when Johannes put up like 3 billion on the last ball, and I think it was the very last game for an IFPA world title. So, and that's a heads up thing. That was incredible, and this ranks right up there with it. I mean, it's just. Yeah, I think for me personally, the way that I think about this, if it's a world championship, I don't mind it being across different eras of games. I mean, to me, that's what shows, hey, here's your world champions. We have tournaments. They're, Expo, and then even the Stern Pro Circuit finals. That's going to be on All Stern. So there are tournaments out there that are sponsored by Stern with the Pro Circuit that, you're going to see the those types of games. You're going to see the new modern games. You're going to see games that are currently in production. But with this, I thoroughly enjoy this type of tournament because it requires all kinds of different skill sets. It requires you to have a certain capacity of rules knowledge, of flipper skills, of understanding the nudges and the nuances of different geometries from different eras. I mean, you got upper play fields, you got, 3 flipper games, you got bigger flippers, with the way that the Bally Williams play. I mean, even Revenge from Mars, you had basically what felt like a little home pin, and it had lightning flippers on it. I mean, that game played tough.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't mind it at all. And hopefully the people watching at home, hopefully that was a little bit more entertaining to get to see a different era of game for people to play. I think that's overall that's good for pinball. Now, it could be argued, that maybe if they set it up to where you're required to have a modern, a mid game or something like that. Like, I understand that, but there's tournaments out there for that. And I got no qualms with how the open set up and how these games are. I think it's absolutely fantastic that you see people that have been in this game for 20 plus years playing against up and comers on games that might be 20 years old. They might be a year old. I think personally that's pretty cool, just because it makes you see a wide variety of skill sets.
I liked it and also some of these modern games, they play so long that it's like to have these, that final game be like, okay, this is going to happen in 15 minutes or less. And I don't know. I loved it. I loved every bit of it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I mean, I was proud of you, Travis. Obviously, that's awesome to see you perform the way you did. To end up 3, obviously triple drain, that's pretty great. But dude, it was awesome. It was really cool to see. And I know the interview afterward, Keith and Esther have gone at it so much over the last few years. Like, it's fitting that it was. And I think what was really cool is you think your family, you think your wife, the amount of travel and stuff that you and your mom, the amount of travel that you have to do to be able to compete at this level. And it takes an army or a village, right? I mean, it was pretty cool for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wish I would have, in that moment, I was trying to think of everybody I wanted to thank. And then of course I end up stumbling over my words and I just forget things because we were crushed for time. But yeah, I mean, even right now, my family, they're fantastic. And a lot of this I can't do. And it, and I know it. Us doing a podcast, our family is making a sacrifice in order for us to be able to do something like this, in order for us to be knuckleheads that are talking on a microphone away from each other and putting this out there for everybody to consume. But yeah, it's just, I'm very thankful for my family allowing me the opportunity to be able to travel, to follow what I'm very passionate about. I think that for me, even from, I'll get a little bit deep here, but even for me, from a mental health perspective, I need something that I'm passionate about and I need to be able to follow it. And that's really my outlet with pinball. After I got done playing baseball and, all the stresses in life and everything, I can turn on a game and I'm happy. And nice. I can share that with my family. And you have kids and a wife yourself that play pinball with you from time to time. When I do that with my family, like, I'm ecstatic. That's just, for me, that's great. So yeah, I'm very thankful for them. And also, I forgot to mention too, when I was out there, I'm very thankful for Oklahoma Pinball Enthusiast, OPE. So that's my original group that's back in Oklahoma with Cactus Jacks in Oklahoma City. I came up through there. They let me play there. Carolyn, big shout out to her. I know she's listening. Let me play at their facility and just learn the games, get used to playing. And yeah, it really is surreal, Joel. I mean, when I started competitive pinball, I was watching this all on stream and I was thinking, I want to do that. That looks fun. And, I never imagined that it would come to this. I always wanted to do it. And I always envisioned myself playing against the best possible players I could. So, I mean, it's definitely surreal to be up there with them. And hopefully is somebody that's listening to this or watching this that is just now getting into competitive pinball or has been playing for a while and is thinking about traveling, thinking about doing it, like, do it. Take a chance. Yeah. Like, come check it out. People are very accessible. And, I think I don't see myself as being the exception to this. I think that there's so many excellent players out there that are undiscovered right now that are just waiting to be found. I mean, there's so much information out there with rules, with everything that, I think that we're going to see the talent level in pinball rise dramatically over the coming years. And I, for one, I look forward to seeing it.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. It was awesome to watch. I mean, Karl did an incredible job. The stream, the quality of the stream, the quality of the play. It was awesome. It was really, really cool. And yeah, so right around midnight, we're like, okay, well, hi. And that's what I told my brother. I was like, there's another tournament that's about to happen with high stakes. We'll fast forward. Kaylee George, so the guy that you bumped out to get into finals, he ended up winning it. So 15 grand right there in his pocket. And who gets second? Keith Owen. So it's like, that's what blew me away was Keith participated in 3 tournaments, and people say he's retired or semi-retired. What that means is like, you and Tom, you travel a lot throughout the year, and other friends of ours, obviously Ray Day and whatnot, are very consistent at Carlos, like boom, 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 hitting all these different tournaments all over the U.S. Keith doesn't do that. He doesn't do that anymore. He just hits his local things or what he wants to. So for Keith to be just fly out, show up, boom, wins a tournament, second the next. I mean, he still got it. There's no denying that.
Yeah, he's an exceptional player. When you're up close and you're watching the decision making and just the thought process, you're just like, how's he doing this?
Yeah. How is this happening?
They were all like that though. I mean, even in the finals, Kaylee, excellent player, and Jermaine. For anybody that doesn't know Jermaine, he is an excellent player, and I think I was very impressed with his overall ability and his flipper skills.
Yeah, Escher,
in finals.
Eric Stone, Carlo. I mean, everybody. It's like everybody. The only person I didn't see was Ray Day. Ray Day was the only one that wasn't there that I'm used to seeing stream and compete at that level. And or Dalton wasn't there either. But I'm just thinking of people that stream or people that I'm see consistently, at these tournaments. So, hey, if you're interested at all in competitive play, check out Fox Cities Pinball for sure, but IEpinball, check out his Twitch channel. Go back. You could start at any game. I mean, the quality of play was so high that it's like just start at anywhere in those 3 days of streaming, and you're going to learn stuff and see stuff that was pretty incredible. So, but yeah, that's basically all we had. I know this was a shorter episode at an hour and 15 minutes, but INDISC was incredible, and Travis, you performed exceptionally well, and I knew we wanted to try to knock a podcast out here while it's still relevant. But yeah, was there anything else you wanted to say about it?
No, it was a great time. It was very surreal during it. I was enjoying it, and it's been just a crazy ass 48 hours since then. With all the messages and everything, I just want to tell everybody out there, if I haven't got a chance to yet, I thoroughly appreciate it. I mean, I know Joel and I, and we can speak for Tom here, we thoroughly enjoy doing this podcast, and we genuinely appreciate everybody that takes time out of their day to listen, especially Joel, because we all know he sucks, right, Joel? But yeah, we just play right into that we're feuding too. The amount of people that come up to me asking if we're okay, it cracks me up. Trust me, guys, we love to have fun. We enjoy everybody that comes up to talk to us. If you see us out, please come up, introduce yourself. We love talking pinball, and it's a great time. And if this podcast is out before then, we're recording this on Wednesday, so hopefully it is out. This Saturday on the whatever date that is, on the 21st, that's when you're going to see state championships being played. So on Twitch, you're going to see a lot of different streams. And also on the 22nd, you're going to have women's state championship as well. So hopefully they have different streams going on that day as well. So it'll be an excellent weekend of competitive pinball if that's your jam. If it's not, you know what? Put on Twitch, leave it on anyways, then you go play pinball yourself.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I will say, when I first got into this hobby, anytime competitive pinball came up in conversation, it was just like, meh. But the reality is, once you grow your passion of just enjoy playing these games, to see people play them at such a great level is I don't know. I find it like motivating, and I think it's really cool to see. I don't know when I'm going to start finding the time to play myself. But my brother loves playing competitive Magic, so he's like, oh, man, he's like, I know I'm not that good at pinball, but he's like, I want to play. I'm ready to play.
Just join a league. Like, it's perfectly fine. I tell this to everybody. Yeah, you're watching world-class players at these tournaments, but I promise you're not going to see world-class players at every single tournament, at every single league. You're going to find a lot of leagues are just like pure fun and nothing else. People just having a good time, getting out on a weeknight, having a couple of beers, enjoying pinball, talking about life. You will find, if you get out there and you find a league, It's a lot of fun. And that's what I would highly recommend anybody, especially Joel. Like,
I
get
know,
out there,
I know.
play pinball. It's much more fun when you have other people to enjoy it
I
with.
totally get it. I totally get it. But yeah, so thank you to all the people that send us, Facebook messages, respond to our Facebook posts, all that good stuff. Patreon members, emails, all that. We really appreciate the feedback. We enjoy what we do. But yeah, I think that's it for this episode. We called it 29.5 because Tom's not here. Episode 30, we do have some plans for that. I think we're gonna have an extra ball. Should be a good time.
Big plans.
Hopefully that's happening
Big
next
plans,
week,
Joel.
if not the week after. Next week, the 28th, is the Pinball Awards. The voting has happened. It's already been counted. Everything's figured out, but the actual Pinball Awards will be live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch on the Pinball Network. So check that out. That's the 28th. I think it's at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. I don't know.
8 o'clock, I believe. Central.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
I think.
It'll be great. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be there for the filming. I'm really looking forward to that. But normally we go to Tom. I don't have my Tom soundboard
Do you
pulled
have a
up.
soundboard?
So, no.
We should just call him right now.
Oh no, this was supposed to be an hour, and we're at an hour 20. So believe it or not,
I think I can call him. Hang on.
You're gonna call it. We're waiting. We're gonna wait for.
Well, we can edit it, right?
No, I don't edit. I don't edit stuff out of the.
Oh, you
video
don't edit? Okay, never mind. Sorry,
No.
Tom. Not going to call you. You're on your own.
Well, okay then. So yeah, you can have it, Travis. You can wrap it up.
Good night, everybody, and thank you for listening.